Hello, my name is Roger Sealander. I'm the manager of the hosted PBX solutions team here at AireSpring, and today I would like to introduce you to the newly rebranded Business Group Administrator portal, or also known as the BG Admin portal, as we often call it. So the logon screen that you're seeing here is the same as what we always have, CommPortal.airespring.com/BG, and then you log in with the telephone number of your BG admin. I'll just pick one of mine right here. I've got the password saved, but you type in your normal password and hit log on. The logon now will take you to a newly developed entire screen environment. All the functions that you're used to as a BG admin are still there. We've just reorganized them into a more modern and more logical display rather than the small boxes that we used to have to manage in. So everything that you see on the main screen, which is called the home screen, is also echoed on your left-hand side for quick links. So after you're used to using the portal for a while, often you will just directly go to the areas that you're interested in. The screen is organized by the groups that your business team has, the lines and users and attendants that your business uses, and some overall global settings for the BG admin to manage the business group that way. So let's go ahead and get started with the line section, because that's probably where you spend a lot of your time as a BG admin. The users section of the lines gives you a total one-page layout of all your lines. No more the need of jumping back and forth between tabs or scrolling forever to go down. You see everything here. You can search for it. You can search for specific fields, or now you can even use the search function of your browser to find a specific item you're looking for in your business group. The lines themselves, you have an action pickup. So in the action with the individual settings, you pop up the members' individual CommPortal that the BG admin can make changes to. You also have the option to edit who that user is, change the name, change the password, etc. for that user. And also you can go ahead and reset the line, which means you're basically going to wipe out the name, the password, the PIN codes. The voicemail box gets reinitialized to the initial startup. So it's a very, very good way if you have a new employee coming in to reset the line, send them instructions, here's your new password and PIN codes, and let them set up their own voicemail box, recordings, etc. So it's a very powerful tool. Again, if you click any of the lines themselves directly, you green that I showed earlier to the actual portal for that phone. So that's the lines area. So going back to the home screens now, we can see also in that same area our attendance. We'll bring it up. Here we are, our premium attendance. We have several actions we can do on that. I can add the details, etc. We can go to the attendant itself, have a look at it, and we can open the attendance settings if we wanted to, and you configure your menus, your schedules, just like anything you did before on your premium attendant. Just a total new view without having to deal with different tabs that kept popping up from the old browser development. The next area is your group access, but I'm going to skip over that because it's in the groups already up here. It's just a different shortcut to the same. In the phones menu, you can go ahead and work on the individual telephones that your business has or your departments have, because you can actually select them by department, which is usually a physical location. You can reassign an existing telephone number to a different telephone number. For example, you can see on this screen that this little Cisco phone I have right here has no telephone number assigned to it. So if I click on it and I want to now make it assigned to another number in my line, I can do that, tell it for how long to authenticate, and then once I apply the authentication, go over to the device to a factory default, and it'll grab a new token and become the managed device for that line. Vice versa, I can also go to an existing phone, tell it I don't want you to be associated with that telephone number anymore, apply that. Now the phone will go to a logon screen during the next reboot because it's not being managed by us anymore. So a very powerful tool for business group administrators to move telephone lines to where they're actually needed. So moving back to the home screen, I want to go ahead and have a look at the groups now. We talked about it earlier from the links. So two different groups that we really deal with most of the time. First is our hunt groups. So in the hunt group fields, here I have an example where I have two different hunt groups set up for my team. And when I click on any of the hunt groups, I go ahead and go directly to the group. I can see the telephone number that's associated, the name that I have associated with it. Again, that is changeable if I wanted to change settings for my pilot. Here's my actual pilot that I'm using for this. And I can change the call manager settings, the call settings, etc. So just your standard multi-line hunt group ones. Also, what we can look at the members that are part of this hunt group. If this hunt group were to support logging in and logging out of the hunt group, you would see these little arrows as either green, meaning the member is logged in, or red, the member is currently logged out. And you can also rearrange the position of the members. You can add and remove other members from the hunt group. So a good, powerful tool. Then at the end, you have some settings that you can do. Basically, you can give it a hunt group name, or you can say whether you allow the login, log out by default. That's in the settings. So very good for doing that one. The other groups that we have is our call pickup groups. And the call pickup groups are pretty straightforward. If you hear a phone ring, you dial *11. And if you're in that pickup group, the call gets picked up. You can also do it via soft key on all of your telephones, etc., to do that. So you can see the numbers that I have currently in my test group. I can add and remove certain lines from that test group. The old POTS call pickup feature that we're all used to, hopefully. And so that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and now go into the services section. In the services section, it gives you the ability to view and manipulate your departments. So for example, if I wanted to add an department at this time, I could say, what's the name? I'll call it test department. And the parent department is usually the top level department, which is your business group, but it can be embedded. So you could have, for example, location A, and then under location A, you could have multiple sub-departments, sales, marketing, service, etc. You can set for each department a operator number. So if somebody dials in and what gets to somebody's voicemail box in that department, and an automated message will play, press 0 to be connected to the attendant. So if I put something in there right now, I would do that. The other thing you can set for the department is limits. So if you want to limit the number of incoming and outgoing calls that can be simultaneously handled in that department, you can do this at this time. For total calls, incoming only or outgoing only. If you set something to unlimit, we won't limit it. It's a good idea to limit if you are on what I call small pipes, 6 megabytes or less of a circuit. You may want to take into consideration that 6 megabytes can run about 30 to 40 phone calls at the most at any time. So you may want to limit what your business needs there. And if you just add a department unlimited, it'll show up in the following manner here. Give it a second to add. There we go. Sorry. And so you can see my operator number set. I'm not limiting any on the incoming or outgoing calls. So that's it for departments. Then obviously I just created the department. I can then go over to users. I can modify a user and tell that user to go into a department at that point, right? So in the settings for this user. So I'm not going to go through all of this right now, but it's pretty easy to see in the account settings where you can do the departments and things like that. All right, good. So going back to the services section, in the shortcodes is also a very useful tool. A shortcode is basically a speed dial that is available to any subscriber in your business group without the subscriber having to set up their own speed dials. So usually used for very frequently called numbers within the business group or the department, and it's pretty straightforward. You give it a code, and let's say we'll call this one 65, and give it a telephone number that you want it to dial when somebody dials 65. You can assign the shortcode to a specific department. You don't have to make it available to everybody. So you could actually have multiple shortcodes, same shortcodes in multiple departments, that type of setup. So very powerful tool. And again, you could delete it from here too if you want it. The next thing is account codes. Account codes is when somebody dials a phone number, and then based upon the selected call type and the settings of the line, so there's two different places to set this, what happens? Do they get another dial tone, which means they have to put in an account code to place that call? Do we validate that, meaning that our system has to look at it and say, yep, that's a valid code? Or do we just make it free flow and let the customer put in their own account code that they would like to use for that call? It's a two-way setup, and which by default we let the line be in control. That's what this call types may be overwritten per line. So we set up the account codes, or the BG admin sets up the account codes that they want for which type of calls. They say, do we want to use validated or non-validated? If you want validated, we need a MACD order from you to be able to create those for you. If you want to use non-validated, you will still see those codes that you typed in yourself into or you receive it in call records, in the billing records for at the end of the month, or whenever the billing cycle is for you for business. But what we do say, we say it may be overwritten by line. So it means by default we don't cause the lines to use this unless we go to the line and tell it you do need to use validated or non-validated account codes. And that's something we help you set up originally on those specific lines. Or if you just take this off, then it's your entire business group. Whoever makes a call is going to get that second dial tone. Another thing that we can manage in the services area is our extensions. The customer can do anything from 2 through 7-digit extensions, depending on what your business needs. In most cases, I see 3 or 4 extensions being used most of the time. Some of them are blocked, like you can't use 911 or 411 as an extension because that coincides with certain service codes. But other than that, there's very few limits on the way to use extension. You don't need to call us to create your extension. You can do that yourself. You can manage them whichever is the best way for your business. Another thing, and that's what this hint is up here at the top, if you are ever in your voicemail box or you transfer a call, you can use 7 plus the extension number to go directly to that person's voicemail. So if I wanted to call extension 1071 to leave a voicemail for 1071, I would just dial 7-1071 and be immediately in that voicemail box. I don't have to go through the ring cycles and disturb the subscriber just to leave them a quick voicemail. So a very handy tool to have with our hosted PBX product. The other thing the BG admin often needs to do is look at the call logs that are what is happening in my business. And here we give you the ability to download up to 30 days worth of call logs from your business, and we will export that to you in a .csv file. It'll include information such as caller, the called, the direction of the call, did it get answered, yes or no? What was the conversation time? Obviously, a date and time of the actual call, too. Please be aware that we do say 30 days, but there's another limit, and that's up to 1 gigabyte of data on our server. It's a huge amount. 1 gigabyte takes a lot of calls to populate into a spreadsheet. So I've yet to see anybody actually exceeding that 30 days. It's a very, very good tool to use. In the music on hold section, this is the same interface that we've always used. If you click on it, it just redirects it. This has not been redone, and you can obviously look at your mapping, your resources, and what you're using in that department. In the miscellaneous section, we have also a new feature. First, though, it shows you your number blocks and what's used in your number blocks. Your external calls, how are they being handled? This is just what your service provider set for you. And then call notifications is the new thing. Call notification is when somebody in your department or your business, depending on how you set it up, dials 911. What happens additionally to the 911 call? The ability what we have is we call them emergency contacts, and they can be via email and they can be via phone. In this case, both. When Roger Test's department makes a 911 call. And you can obviously disable it also, or you can add new. And when you add new, you select your department that you want to do that. You set a name and an email address, and you can do multiple ones. I do test@test.com, and I probably want to go ahead and put that over here. I automatically get a second email address. So I can do 5 email addresses for notification if I need to. At the same time, while I'm setting up the email notification, I have the ability to say, hey, I need you to call extension 1071, and the whole number is 281-502-1071. As soon as I do that, I can do another one. And what happens here when somebody now in the department dials 911, our system will call this destination telephone number and play a recording of saying an emergency call has been placed by, and we echo back the 10-digit telephone number of who did the 911 call. That announcement has to be acknowledged. So the user at the end is asked, if you've received this, please press 1. If you don't and you hang up, for example, our system will call you right back until you acknowledge that you've received the notification of the 911 call. We try that for 5 times. Obviously, it's not infinite, but we'll go ahead and give 5 call attempts. If it rolls over to your voicemail, we won't leave a voicemail. It just tries 5 times. And you save this, and you can notify multiple people. So it's a very good new feature. The last things are 2 things. The help screens are a pop-up of pretty much everything that I've just said. You've got pretty good help of what the fields are, what can you do in certain areas, explains again what are short codes, etc. So it's a good help section that's included in this. Hopefully it'll be pretty intuitive. Please let us know if you don't see any good help for what you need when you're trying to set up something. Send feedback is just a feedback tool for us and to make sure that we can get best out of this product for you as possible. That is the new business group admin portal. If there's any questions, please reach out to the AireSpring customer service team. You can always call me directly, Roger Sealander at AireSpring. Love to help you out and make a pleasant experience for everybody. Bye-bye and thank you.